Every developer knows the pain of pushing code and then sitting around hitting refresh every 15 minutes, waiting for the build to finish or your test to pass. It completely breaks your flow state. But guess what? Claude Code actually has a fix for this. They just quietly released a brand new feature called as loops. So you can think of it as a cron job, except you can schedule a prompt to run at a specified interval. But it is way more powerful than that. It basically turns your Claude Code from a standard chatbot into a background AI agent that does the busy work for you while you focus on other things. So today we are going to cover what loops are, the difference between recurring cron jobs and one-shot AI reminders like loops, and also cover some of the limitations of this feature, and most importantly, how to make sure these background jobs don't accidentally drain your Anthropic API credits. So let's dive in. So what exactly are loops? Loops are essentially cron jobs, but you can instead schedule a prompt at a specified interval. They run directly in your Claude Code session or in your terminal, and they use a variety of different tools internally to basically run that specific cron job at that specific interval. You can use loops to schedule a task, run any specific skills, set a reminder, or say things like every 10 minutes, check if the build has finished and just let me know. Things like that are very useful, especially when you're busy, heads down, doing something, and then you just want a specific cron job to run directly in your terminal or session to do a specific task for you. So you can think of it as like a background AI agent that's going to run all the time. Let's take a look at an example. There are two main ways to use loops. Let's take a simple example over here. So we have loop every 5 seconds, print hello world. Now, the minimum duration is 1 minute. So it's going to quickly round it to 1 minute. And every 1 minute, it's going to print hello world. And this is only going to run in this specific session. I'm using the Claude Code extension in VS Code, also cursor. Since 5 seconds is below cron's minimum granularity for minute, it's rounding it up. It has created this specific JSON, which is essentially its instruction for scheduling that specific hello world. Hello world has automatically been printed over here. But I can also use natural language as well, and I can say, remind me at 3:07 p.m. to push the release branch. So now what this is going to do is it's going to remind me at this specific time, which is a minute from now, to schedule a one-shot task. And that's another way you could schedule a one-shot task inside of loops. Hello world essentially was a recurring task. Every 5 seconds, it will run a specific task, whereas this one is just a one-off thing, a one-shot task. So what's going to happen is it will schedule this single fire task that runs one and then automatically deletes itself. You could just have these reminders instead of keeping it in your head and having a lot of information. It is actually going to do that thing for you. And as we speak, a reminder, push the release branch has automatically been printed in your terminal. So if you're busy doing a lot of things, instead of creating tasks or calendar invites or to-do lists in your system, you could just have it inside of the terminal that you're working on and get Claude Code to think for you. So you don't have multiple things going on and it doesn't break your flow state. Now with Loop, it uses 3 different tools internally to schedule that specific cron job. So for example, it will use cron create, cron list, or cron delete. We go here and say loop list. It's in fact telling me that there are no scheduled jobs because remember, this is a brand new window than this was. So it doesn't have any scheduled jobs whatsoever. And here we just ran a one-shot reminder. In fact, using the tools internally to do so. So here it used the cron list tool. Here it used the cron create tool. It also used the cron create tool to basically create, delete, or cancel or anything like that as well. Every 5 minutes, check the deployment like it says over here. Then it has created a recurring job right now. But I could also just run cron delete with this specific job ID. So I could just say delete their task with this being the job ID. I could also do that as well. And that task will automatically get deleted as I'm in my session. So it has automatically canceled the job and used the cron delete tool. Now let's take a look at how to actually automate some of the advanced workflows because as developers, standard reminders are cool, but we want something that works in our workflow. So for instance, we could run things like check my Versa deployment status via the CLI. If it fails, read the build logs. And this is more realistic. So you could just have it run this command every 3 minutes and it's automatically going to do so. And do you see how powerful that is? It's not just going to check a status. I'm giving it conditional logic. If the build passes, it stays quiet. If it fails, it actively debugs the nextjs error for me. The other example is if you're managing a team or maintaining open source, you know the pain of asking a dev to fix a PR than having to constantly go back and check to see if they actually did it or not. But because Claude allows you to loop other commands, you could also run this specific command, which is for every 30 minutes, review this specific PR and check if the author has actually fixed the requested changes. If they have, just merge it. And that is something that you could easily do as well. with the review PR skill. So you could just not only tap into specific tasks, you could also tap into different skills as well. The other really good example is that let's say you're writing tests. This is definitely going to feel like magic because while you write React components in one window, in one Claude window, you could essentially have the loop running in the another window and get it to run this specific loop. So every 2 minutes, run the unit test. If any tests fail, analyze the error, fix the code in my file, and rerun the test until they pass. Now, this is also very handy to have multiple agents working on 2 different things, and you could have it scheduled in like that as well. So you basically literally just write code and your background AI is going to fix those typos and logic errors every 2 minutes, which is pretty freaking cool. Now, loops are really cool, but definitely there are some limitations here. For example, your computer needs to be on. If you shut it down, all your sessions and terminals are just gone. They are automatically killed, obviously, and so is your scheduled cron jobs as well because they're only active within the terminal or within that specific session. The other thing is if you have a loop that's recurring, like a recurring cron job, then it does have a 3-day loop expiry. So even if you have a computer running for 3 days, day 1, day 2, it is going to run. Day 3 will be the last run and it will automatically delete itself as well using the cron delete tool that we talked about. And like I said, closing the terminal or closing the Claude Code tab will automatically kill any scheduled tasks as well. So that's something you need to keep in mind as well. But there is one more hidden limitation. Before you go crazy and schedule 50 background agents, we need to talk about some of the limitations and more importantly, your Anthropic API bill. Every time a loop fires, Claude runs that command as if you typed it. So it's just a prompt that you would type in your terminal. It means that it is hitting the Anthropic API, reading context and charging your tokens just like it would in general. So if you set the loop to run every minute, it's going to fire 60 times an hour and you will drain your API credits depending on what plan you are on as well. But again, you will completely drain your API credits completely by accident, and you really don't want to do that. To fix this, you want to use fail fast prompt. So don't tell Claude to read the logs every 5 minutes. Tell the Claude to check the status and only log it if it fails. So only on failure do you want to really, run it. This will save you massive amount of time and tokens and unnecessary workload as well. And finally, these loops are session scope, meaning if you close your terminal, it dies. So they have a strict 3-day expiry. After 3 days, the loop will delete itself. So if you ever want to check what background tasks are eating your credits, just type what scheduled tasks I have or use the underlying cron list tool like I talked about, and you can cancel them using cron delete. What is exactly the difference between cron jobs versus loops? Cron jobs have access to your system and they're at a system level. So they essentially are a command that will run a specific bash command or a specific task you want to run at a specified interval. And you have to go and manually cancel it. That's the whole purpose of it. Versus loops are in fact cron for prompts. So they will run in your session, in your terminal, in your VS Code, Claude Code plugin, and it will die automatically. Everything closes or you shut down your machine. So that's the main difference that you need to keep in mind when you're running loops versus cron jobs. If you want something to run on an ongoing basis beyond the 3-day expiry, you want to run it every week, then you may want to use cron jobs there because they are way more powerful in that sense. However, if you are working on something and you want to quickly debug something, have it run a specific task or whatever, then you want to use loops instead. Honestly, Claude loops are awesome and you should definitely leverage it to run things more autonomously. Now, I want to hear from you. So what's a crazy task you're going to give to Claude loops after watching this specific video? Let me know down in the comments below because I read all of them and I'll make sure to respond. Now, as next steps, I genuinely think 2026 is the year where open source finally wins. So make sure to check out this video on how you could leverage more open source models. And thanks so much for watching. Bye for now.